This quiz was originally held in person in December 2022, but now you can do it at home using this recording. Grab a piece of paper and a pen to record your answers. It's out of 50. There are also bonus points available if you write answers that are unusual but still correct. Pause the video if you need more time to answer the questions. But without further ado, let's begin. Name something that happened in each of these years, very simply. 1215, 1415, 1715, 1815, 1915, 2015, 1066 and 1966. Remember that there are bonus points available. So write down an answer that's unusual or unexpected, and you can give yourself 2 points for getting the question correct. Pause the video now if you need more time. For round 2, you need to write a sentence about each of these characters. It doesn't need to be complicated, but it does need to show specific knowledge about the character. So please write a sentence about Saint Sebastian, Peter the Hermit, Lambert Simnel, Henry Addington, Tommy Atkins, Lawrence of Arabia, A.J.P. Taylor, and Peter Carrington. Pause the video now if you need more time. Round 3 has 9 questions that you need to answer. For the questions that ask when something happened, you should be as precise as possible. There are marks for getting it in the right year or the right decade, depending on the difficulty of the question. The questions that you need to answer are as follows. When was the Bastille stormed? What Paris landmark opened 100 years later? And by later I mean after the storming of the Bastille. What Paris landmark opened 200 years later? Which archaeologist discovered Tutankhamun's tomb? Who funded the expedition that discovered Tutankhamun's tomb? When was Tutankhamun alive? Who introduced the current Western calendar? Who proposed the previous Western calendar? What was different between the two calendars? Round 4 is the picture round. For the following images, you need to name the object or the painting and its current location. There's a bonus mark available for naming its author or creator or painter or maker. Here is picture 1. Remember that you can pause this video if you need more time to answer questions. You can, of course, also rewind it. Here's question 2. Remember that you need to record the name of the object or the painting, its current location, and if possible, its creator. Here's the third object. And here's the fourth item that you need to name, state the location of, and, if possible, give the creator. For round 5, you need to list 4 of the 6 of the following: Henry VIII's wives, British monarchs from William IV to Charles III, American presidents from George Washington to Martin Van Buren, popes from Pius XI to Francis, American First Ladies from Rosalind Carter to Jill Biden, or Winchester College headmasters from Walter Oakeshott to Timothy Hands. You only need to list 4 of the 6 that are given in front of you, and each has 6 components. You get 1 point for getting 3 of them, 2 points for getting all 6, and a bonus point for getting the order correct. Round 6 has a festive theme. There will shortly be a document displayed on your screen. You need to transcribe the underlined section. Then give the historical context of the report. Who was in charge of England at the time? And take a guess at when it was written. Here is the document. I'll shortly remove the lines so that you get a full view of the script. Any transcription will do. Feel free to expand contractions and spell words either as they are written or in modern English. Remember that you can pause the video or rewind if you need more time. Here is the document without the underlining. If you're doing this competitively, it's time to change your answer sheets and change colour pen because it's time for the answers. In round 1, you had to name what happened in certain years. In 1215, the Magna Carta was signed and the First Barons' War began, as well as the Fourth Lateran Council was held in the Vatican. If you gave an answer that is in bold, you get a bonus point, as well as the 1 for getting the question correct. In 1415, the famous Battle of Agincourt occurred, the theologian Jan Hus was killed, and the Southampton plot against Henry V occurred. In 1715, there was a Jacobite uprising. If you've got another answer, you can Google it and see whether you're correct. If so, do give yourself a mark. In 1815, there was the Battle of Waterloo and the War of the Seventh Coalition, one of the Napoleonic Wars. The 60 Years' War, or the War of 1812, ended. 1915, there was the Battle of Gallipoli, losing the Second Battle of Ypres. World War I, I fear, is probably too vague for a mark here. The Armenian genocide began, Edith Cavell was killed, Italy and Bulgaria entered World War I, and Einstein's theory of general relativity was presented. In 2015, there were attacks on Paris, and an agreement in the same city was signed on climate change. There was an earthquake in Nepal, Sepp Blatter resigned as FIFA chairman, and there was a Conservative majority in the general election. In 1066, among coronations and deaths, there was the Battle of Hastings and the Battle of Stamford Bridge, and perhaps less well known, the Battle of Fulford, for which you can get a bonus mark. In 1966, England won the World Cup, and Labour won a majority in a general election. There were other answers: the Vietnam War, France leaving NATO's High Command, Mao's Cultural Revolution, and Reagan's election to the governorship of California, which you can get marks for. In round 2, you had to write a sentence about each of these characters. Saint Sebastian was shot by arrows. He actually wasn't killed by these arrows, he was clubbed to death later, but he was certainly shot by them. Obviously, a sentence like Saint Sebastian was a saint is not worthy of a mark. Peter the Hermit was responsible in part for the People's Crusade. Lambert Simnel was a Tudor rebel. Henry Addington was the first old Whighamist Prime Minister. Tommy Atkins was a generic British soldier. In World War I, you might have heard the phrase Tommies. Lawrence of Arabia was the sensationalised coordinator of the Arab Revolt. A.J.P. Taylor was a famous historian, and Peter Carrington was Foreign Secretary and Secretary General of NATO. If you have some more interesting facts, like Peter Carrington was Foreign Secretary during Argentina's invasion of the Falkland Islands, then you deserve a bonus point. In round 3, you had to answer 9 questions. Question number 1 was, when was the Bastille stormed? And the answer is the 14th of July, 1789. You need all of this information to get the point. The Eiffel Tower opened 100 years later, in 1889, and the Louvre Pyramid opened 200 years later. Howard Carter was the archaeologist who discovered King Tutankhamun's tomb, and Lord Carnarvon funded his expedition. Tut was alive from 1341 to 1323 BC. You get a point if you got the right millennium, and bonus points for getting the century and the decade. Pope Gregory XIII devised the current Western calendar. You get a point for his name and a bonus point for getting his post-numeral, and Julius Caesar proposed the previous one. The difference between the two is rather obscure. Every 400 years there is a leap year. So under the Julian calendar, every multiple of 4 was a leap year except for multiples of 100. And under Pope Gregory's calendar, every multiple of 4 is a leap year except from multiples of 100, except from multiples of 400. So the year 2000 was a leap year, but the year 1900 wasn't. A reminder that you can pause this video if you need to have more time. But we'll move on to the answers for round 4 of the picture round. You needed to name the object or painting and its current location, 1 mark for each, and you get a bonus mark if you can name its author or creator. This is the bust of Nefertiti in the Noise Museum in Berlin, and particularly well done if you got that it was created by Thutmose. This is the Polychronicon at Winchester College, which was created by Ranulph Higton. This is the Rosetta Stone at the British Museum. The creator is unknown, but you can have a bonus mark if you mentioned that it is currently, and we're in December 2022 at the moment, in an exhibition on hieroglyphs. This is the Birth of Venus in the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, and it's by Sandro Botticelli. In round 5, you had to write 4 lists out of 6 possible options. You get 1 mark for getting 3 of the characters correct, 2 marks for getting all 6 correct, and a bonus point if you get the order correct. Henry VIII's wives were Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, Jane Seymour, Anne of Cleves, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr. You get a bonus mark if you got their first names correct, and you get another bonus mark if you omitted Catherine of Aragon, Anne Boleyn, and Anne of Cleves specifically, because their marriages were annulled, so therefore technically they were never married to Henry VIII. For the monarchs, you needed to list Victoria, Edward VII, George V, Edward VIII, George VI, and Elizabeth II, and you need the post-numerals. The US presidents were John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, and Andrew Jackson. You get a bonus point if you got their first names correct. The popes were Pius XII, John XXIII, Paul VI, John Paul I, and John Paul II, and Benedict XVI. You get a bonus point if you got their post-numerals correct. The US First Ladies were Nancy Reagan, Barbara Bush, Hillary Clinton, Laura Bush, Michelle Obama, and Melania Trump. You need their first names, of course, and you get a bonus point if the order was correct, as always. And the Winchester College headmasters were Desmond Lee, John Thorne, James Sabanclair, Nicholas Tate, Tommy Cookson, and Rafe Townsend. You get a bonus point if you got their first names correct as well. In the festive round, you had to observe a historical document and write some information down about it. Question 1 was a transcription question. You get 1 mark for each section. There was a very willful and strict observation of the day commonly called Christmas Day throughout the cities of London and Westminster by a general keeping of their shops shut up. There are 6 marks in total for the transcription, and you should be lenient. Famously is a common mistake for commonly, and you should allow this. Oliver Cromwell was the leader of England, and he tried to suppress Christmas. There were 2 marks available for this question. For the question where you had to guess the year that the document was made, the correct answer is the 15th of December 1650. You get a mark for the century, a mark for the decade, and a bonus mark for getting the year correct. Thank you for taking part in this virtual quiz. If you'd like to see more of my work, you can visit my website, godtress.wixsite.com/cornucopia. Thank you for listening.